Sporting nil, Arsenal 1. What a huge win away from home. In Europe, that is the perfect away result. In a quarterfinal, I don't think it gets much better than that. Hey, listen, it can get much better than that. It can be 6-0. But you know what I mean. Going away from home to a Sporting team. Listen to this. Sporting have been on absolutely crazy form this season, especially at home. They've literally won 16 home games in a row until today. They had won 16 home games in a row. They had scored 50 goals during that time and only conceded 6. So going to a team like Sporting, yes, when we see the draw and you're like, oh, we're not in the Bayern Munich side, the Real Madrid side, we're in the Sporting side and Bodo Glimt side, we will obviously feel like, yes, we're in the easy part of the draw. But the truth is, it's not easy to play Sporting away from home. The first 10 minutes of the game showed you, like, we started the game and I was like, oh no, it's going to be a long night. You're going to really like struggle today. They are a very, very good team. And on top of that, because you're coming off 2 defeats in a row, that's the first time we've had 2 defeats in a row in like a year or something. There was a lot of, there's been a lot of scrutiny, playing style, and players not performing, and manager making wrong decisions. All of that, people have been talking about all of that over the last 2-3 weeks. But when you go to a Sporting team, you don't talk about things like performance. Now, from the last video that we talked about against Southampton, I said, yes, playing style is a problem, especially this year in 2026. We've not performed well at all. But in the Champions League, I am very, very different. In the Champions League, away from home, you just need to go there and you pick up the results. That is how I look at Champions League games away from home. Now, there's some games where you're going to go and win 7 goals, like the way we did against PSV last season. There's some games where you're going to go and score 3 against Slavia Prague. Sometimes you're even going to go to the Bernabeu and win by 2-1. All those games are very, very enjoyable. But away from home in the Champions League, you don't expect to go and win 4-0. You expect to go then pick up a result and then take them back to your home. That's why it's also having an advantage playing the second game at home. And the way we did it, the way we scored that last minute goal, it feels even better. Even in the group stage, usually out of the 8 games in the league phase, you only really need to win your 4 home games and maybe win a couple of others away from home, and you finish in the top 3. Even if you lose 2 of the other away games, you're still going to qualify in the top 3, maybe even top 2 with 18 points. You just need to win your home games in the Champions League. And then when you get to the knockout, you make sure you pick up a result if you're away from home first. And then in the second leg, we make sure you don't lose at home and you make sure you win. Now, the second leg, you have to, go and win. Now that we've won this one, I would expect kind of the same result at our place. If I was to predict right now, I'd say another 1-0 victory next week. And it's job done. We've gone to a team that always scores goals. And this team has performed. They've performed defensively. We've kept a clean sheet. And that's the wrong team. That's definitely the wrong team. But yeah, basically, you get my point. Like, these players have gone there and they've performed. It's not easy to go to a Sporting team and get that kind of victory with the clean sheet on top of that. I did not expect a clean sheet today. My prediction was 2-1 to Arsenal, but part of me was really thinking this is going to be a 1-1. But the game, the way it went, that is kind of how I expected the game to go. Defensive. That for the first half. For the second half, I was really surprised by Sporting. I thought they were going to come and attack us more and more in the second half, but they didn't really do that at all. We had a lot of the possession in the second half, and it was looking like it was slowly drifting to a 0-0 unless we get an opportunity, which we did. Mendy scored, but it was offside, and then we got a second one as well. But we actually started getting a few openings. Martinelli had a shot, Trossard had a shot. We started getting into their box more, getting a couple of corners in those last 30 minutes, and it worked. We got the victory. So in the Champions League, away from home especially, I'm not looking for free-flowing football. Sometimes you're going to do that. As I've said, we've seen Arsenal doing that since we got back to the Champions League. There's some games away from home where we've played very, very well. But most of the games, especially the one that we played against Leverkusen last time, I think it's a game of margins. It could be 0-0. If Leverkusen score, then you're going to need to score ours and take a draw from there. If you score fast, things go well. And despite all the injuries, Eze still out, Merino's still out, and Saka's still out, and all those guys, Timba and Kapia, we're still able to bring players off the bench to get the job done, and that feels really, really good. Everyone will need to contribute. I know there's been players who haven't played well, and you can say that for a lot of people. Ben White has not been promising the last couple of games. I know Trossard and Martinelli have not been on form in terms of goal scoring. Odegaard has, been shaky. Saka's not been great. Mendy has not been great for a couple of games. I know that there's a lot. Jesus, obviously, when he starts, he hasn't been promising as well. But we're still going to need everyone to contribute. You're going to need games where Jokeris is going to be the savior. We're going to need games where Havertz is the savior. And the best stat about this season, I know there's been a lot of divide this season, especially these last 4 months. But one thing we can definitely agree on, the subs that Ateta's made this season, most of them have worked. I think we've gotten 38 goal contributions from the bench this season, which is fantastic. It started all the way in August. I remember, I think it was Max Daumann coming on against Leeds. He got a penalty in that game. I remember Odegaard coming on against Newcastle away from home. He got an assist. Fantastic performance in that game. I think Trossard and Martinelli both came on against Bilbao very early on in the season, our first Champions League game of the season, and we ended up getting a 2-0 victory in that one. And there's been a lot of instances. Recently, Daumann coming on against Everton, getting a goal, getting an assist. Today, Havertz and Martinelli both off the bench, getting a goal, getting an assist. There's been a couple of games where Saka's come on in different competitions, Carabao Cup, Champions League, and made an impact and scored the goal. Eze against Mansfield, he comes on, he wins the start game. So there's been a lot of situations this season where we bring players off the bench and they've done a lot for us. And it's every player, even Jokeris against Southampton, he comes on, scores. All of those players, they've come on and done something. I mean, I could go on. Jesus against Aston Villa. Like, I think basically almost all of the players have come on off the bench and gotten a goal or gotten an assist. So that is great when you have players coming off the bench and doing something. So let's go more in depth in the game. This is the lineup that we went for today. We went for Ryan goal as expected. Gabriel, Calafiori, Saliba, and Ben White at the back. Great to have Gabriel in the team because, when he went down against Southampton, we were fearing the worst. So Zubimendi, Rice, and Odegaard in midfield, and then Trossard, Jokeris, and Madueke up front. Kind of what we expected. The only thing that we weren't sure is whether Gabriel was going to start or Mosquera because of the Gabriel injury from the last game. And then I thought Trossard would definitely start because he hasn't played for a couple of games. But the Madueke one on the right side, I wasn't too sure. I was thinking, could it be Daumann again? I was also thinking, could we actually see a scenario where you could have Martinelli on the right side? We saw him playing a few times there over the past year, mostly last season where Martinelli came on the right side. I was thinking maybe Ata could do that, but no, he's stuck with Madueke, and that's the lineup that we went for. And again, looking at the bench, despite all the injuries, you still have players you can bring on to make an impact, the Havertz and the Daumanns and Martinellis. And then if you need defensively, you have the Mosqueras and then a few youngsters on the bench as well. I mean, if needed, you could bring Jesus. If needed, you could bring Nogard. So we still have a decent bench, even with the injuries. So as I said, I was expecting a tough game. I was expecting Sporting to come on to us, and they did that. The very fast 5 minutes of the game, ball through, Ben White was asleep, and Araujo, goodness me, Araujo was all over the place. I think he committed like 6 fouls. He was very annoying, but he had that first chance and he hit the post. They didn't just hit the post. Raya actually made the save off to the post. So Raya, once again, an absolutely amazing goalkeeper. In that scenario, if they score in the first 5 minutes after we've lost the last 2 games, then the morale becomes low and the game plan goes out of the window if you concede in the first 5 minutes of the game. So that was a very, very important save from Raya. Otherwise, it would have been a whole different game. And then from that point on, he started dominating most of the position. Everything was going through Odegaard, really. Madueke was getting involved a lot against Araujo. And then I didn't really see a lot of Trossard. Jokeris, the ball was just not getting to him at all. It was a lot of, and they weren't really attacking us that much, apart from the time they hit the post and maybe once more. We were seeing a lot of Odegaard and Madueke. We weren't really seeing a lot of like Saliba or even Ben White. I thought Ben White would be put under more pressure because it looks like every time they got the ball, they gave it to Araujo on the left side. But in the first one, they didn't really attack us a lot apart from that post. And then for us, Madueke almost scored directly from a corner kick, which came from Odegaard's free kick. Diomande heading it out, almost an own goal. And then Noni hit the post. And then Odegaard shot just off target. I think he should have gotten that on target. And then there was the next shot after that was Odegaard's right foot shot right before halftime, easily saved by the goalkeeper. And that is basically all that happened in the first half. You were just keeping the possession. Sporting weren't really pressing us that much. They were also playing out from the back and we weren't pressing them that much. So it was a bit of a relaxed game in that first half, apart from the time both teams hit the post. And then in the second half, it started a little bit better. Trossard had a scuffed shot when he got some space in that second half. And then again, more of the same. Literally, it wasn't like chance after chance. Like I had Real Madrid and Bayern Munich on the other on another screen as well. And in that game, Madrid had 20 shots and Bayern Munich had 20 shots. Kane shot here, Mbappe shot here, Vinicius shot here, Olise shot here, Olise cuts in here, corner kick, header from Upamecano. This other side, like attacking. It wasn't like that for our game. We don't really play that basketball kind of game. So it was a lot of, one shot and then 10-15 minute spell where it's relaxed, and then another 5 minute spell where both teams maybe get a chance, and then another 15-20 minute spell where nothing really happens until the 63rd minute when Zubimendi scored a goal, but it was ruled offside. I saw it right away when Gyökeres got the ball. I saw him running back from the Sporting goal, and I was like, yeah, that looks offside. So I didn't actually really celebrate that Zubimendi goal, and then it turned out to be offside because when you see like 5-6 players asking for it as well, it pretty much is offside. And again, after the celebration, you could see Gyökeres kind of telling the other players, I think I was offside. So that is what we were looking for, that kind of chance and that goal to take a 1-0. But unfortunately, that was disallowed. And then Gyökeres also had a shot that was easily saved, just like Odegaard in the first half. And then we made a sub and then a double sub 5 minutes later. Havertz came on for Odegaard. Odegaard was down like 10 minutes before that, 15 minutes before that, looked like he was injured or cramp or just tired. Havertz came in for him, and then we brought in Dauman and Martinelli for Madueke and Trossard. And I think all these three players did well. Arao was a mess on that left side, so obviously Dauman had a lot on his hands, but I think he did well against him on that side. And then Martinelli and Havertz were very, very involved, and we actually did bring in Havertz in midfield. I mean, when we brought in Havertz for Odegaard, I'm sure people were saying, why didn't we bring Dauman on for Odegaard to play in that position? We don't really have anyone else to bring on the right side apart from Dauman for Madueke. So if we bring in Dauman for Odegaard, and then after those 5 minutes, then again, you move Dauman to the right side after 5 minutes. I'm not too sure. So we don't have Eze, we don't have all of those players. So until Eze comes back, I think you're still going to be seeing Havertz in midfield until Merino, Eze comes back, whoever. So those two subs absolutely worked. Martinelli was really, really good. Actually, all three. I think all three were good. Madueke was getting tired. I wasn't seeing too much of Trossard. I wasn't seeing too much of Odegaard in that second half. And then Raya with another fantastic save in the second half from a header. Their number 10, I'm forgetting his name, but then is it Jao or something? But yeah, they're number 10. He headed the ball and the keeper saved it. And then Martinelli also had a decent effort. I actually forgotten about that. I wrote Martinelli, fantastic shot. He actually had a shot in the 84th minute that was fantastic. Was well saved by the goalkeeper. And then in the 92nd minute, the referee puts on 2 minutes, 2 minutes of added time. And I was thinking, okay, you're going to get a draw. And then as soon as he put those 2 minutes, Martinelli gets the ball, drives. And I think that is... Martinelli has been very good. He's been our best player in the Champions League this season. But I wish you could see more of that, just believe in yourself, confidence, take the ball, run past a couple of players, and there's a pass there. Trust in your ability, give the pass, and have us to the finishing. Absolutely fantastic. That was a very, very good goal. A very good pass from Martinelli. A very good run from Martinelli. Good idea. It worked. Dropped to Havertz. It looked kind of offside, but it would have been... it would have been painful if that was disallowed. So such a well-worked goal. Luckily, he was able to stay onside, and fantastic work from Martinelli. Martinelli's been incredible in the Champions League this season. Almost every single game he's played. And then Havertz once again comes off the bench to score. He's already done that a few times this season. So that's his great, fantastic finish from him too. 1-0, we have the advantage. Fantastic, because now we can turn the focus back to Bournemouth. Had we lost to Sporting 2-0 or something, and then we know, oh my goodness, next game is Bournemouth. We've lost 3 games in a row, and then we have to overturn the next game again against Sporting. Now things are a little bit relaxed, 1-0. Now we focus back on the league. Big game against Bournemouth. We have to win that Premier League title this season. We can now focus on that. So hopefully no injuries from today. Hopefully, players like Odegaard aren't injured, and hopefully, if we can get a player or two back over the weekend, that would be great. So big win, 1-0 away to Sporting. Start wise in this match, we had 7 shots, they had 11. We only had one big chance. Kai Havertz scored it. They had 2 big chances. Raya made a couple of good saves as well. Right before we scored, yeah, very good double save. Rye is fantastic. Rye is absolutely fantastic. So what a win, what a victory. I'll take it for sure. Player ratings coming up in a separate video. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.